Hey friends, my name is Jake. Welcome to Canadian Cutting Edge. Today we're taking a look at this. This is the CIVIVI Ortis. It's a flipper knife that you can also flipper. Oh, that's not that good. I was doing really good before. There you go. Flick from underneath. I'm not that good at flicking from underneath, but clearly for somebody that isn't good at it, if I can do it, yeah, it's certainly possible. A very good detent on this knife, and it's a top flipper. FRN handle scales, which are not that bad actually. These are some of the best FRN handle scales that I have ever come across. I'm recording this after I'd recorded the rest of the video, so yes, there is a flaw with these. Just a slight flaw. If I would have recorded this intro beforehand, I would have said, this is the best knife that I've seen in 2021. And I'll talk about that later on. It's a very good knife, but it is not the best. I really love a hollow grind, and I like a Bowie style blade. Yeah, it's a nice knife. Nice and light. Decent steel, 9CR18 MOV. Or you can get it in Damascus with real carbon fiber, and it costs a bit more. This is a $40 knife. That's sort of the retail price that you're going to find on this. I've got links down below where you can buy it, and if you use my links, you help out the channel. Or if you use my coupon codes, all those things. So please do look below the video. I hope I remember to link all that information also in the comments, the top comment down there, just to help everybody. Oh, that was a good solid flick. To help everybody access some good information. I've got links for all kinds of things down below that you might want to check out. Just stick around, and YouTube will show one commercial break. That's all I allow per video. And I'm supposed to tell you in the intro, technically, this is advertising. I got the knife from White Mountain Knives, and I got it at a discount price. Instead of getting it, I didn't get it for free or anything. But since I did get a discount because I'm reviewing it, I'm supposed to say it's advertising. Go figure. Keep watching. It's coming right now. All right, for this video, I'm actually using the onboard microphone on the camera. So you might hear Bandit walking around because we've got hard floors. And of course, he's got nails on his paws. Look at this thing. Isn't she a piece of art? We've got a hollow grind, Bowie point, clip point blade, Bowie style blade, forward choil. This one's big enough for my finger. It fits, and it's safe for me to just quickly put my finger there. I guess I can get a little close to that cutting edge sometimes if I'm not careful, but it's a very good size for me. We've got a very fine tip. You've got almost the full thickness of the blade right up to where my thumbnail is there. So it's just this last little bit where it starts coming thinner. So yes, it is a slightly fragile tip, but that's what you get on a little knife like this. It's not a huge Bowie. We've got a cutout area there. So bottom flickers can apply if you want to be a bottom flicker and flick the knife over that way. That works just fine. I've not actually used that very much on this knife. I am very much enjoying just the regular style flipper. You've got jimping around the front and across the top of it. The jimping on there is perfect. So you get good grip with the finger right away and just opens up really well. The detent is perfect on this knife. Slight push down on an angle, and it goes open, but mostly it's more of a pullback kind of motion. And with that jimping, it's very hard for your finger to accidentally slip off of that flipper. It just works. I like it an awful lot. We've got the flat here. Where's the writing on this knife? It's hiding right there. You can just barely see it even on the close-up. It says 9CR18 MOV stainless. Well, it doesn't say stainless. It just says 9CR18 MOV right there. And that's it. CIVIVI knows how to do a blade very well. It doesn't do over branding. All you see is the letter C right there, and that's it for branding, and just the steel type on one spot, very, very small on the blade. Perfect. We've got FRN handle scales. Don't turn off the video. These are the best FRN I've ever had. I like this as much as I like most G10. We've got a nice texture on here. It almost looks like we've got a forward bolster there. In fact, this handle shape and design is used on 2 other models by CIVIVI. It's used on the Trailblazer, where there is a real bolster in that bolster spot, and on the Badlands Vagabond as well. It's a very, very comfortable knife. The nice soft back rounded edges. It's so very comfortable in hand right there. It just feels really, really good. Any grip you possibly want is very comfortable. It doesn't feel cheap like any other FRN that I've ever had. FRN stands for fiber reinforced nylon. I've always said that FRN is as good as G10 in terms of its material qualities. It just feels cheap very often. CIVIVI has found a way to make it not feel cheap. It can sound cheap though. It feels a little hollow and cheap that way, but it sounds, a little hollow and cheap that way, but it feels just fine. CIVIVI puts proper screws, not button screws, and that's really nice. And this is a budget knife. You've got a second spot here for the pocket clip on either side. You've got black hardware everywhere. You've got flush screws on the pocket clip. Very nice. None of the screws are anywhere near showing any wear at all, so they're in perfect condition. The one con I have for this knife is I wish the top of this pocket clip would come a little bit lower down. It's already starting to flatten on the top there, but I just wish it was just a little bit lower. Right now it works very well for going into a pocket. The has a lot of clearance right there. It could be lower, and push it on, it goes to the full depth right away, and the knife is in hiding. I like that it's black. I wish it's sort of a satin finish. It's not a glossy black, it's not a matte black, it's sort of that satin black. I wish it was matte, actually, so that it would just blend into the pocket. When you've got it down here on the back part of your pocket sitting there, it's not going to be noticed. Of course, with the blue, some people will see it in there. If you get one of the other colors, the black or the OD green, then, of course, it's going to hide in a pocket even better. The action, it's very good, very smooth. We've got ball bearings in there. I'll show you those in just a little while. Very good detent. That holds it closed when it's supposed to be closed, and it doesn't come open accidentally. A strong wrist flick, you're not going to get this thing to open. Look at that lockup. I know it's hard to see with black liners and black hardware. The lockup there is perfect. It's fully engaged, but there's loads of room for it to wear across over time. A little bit of top jimping on the lock release, and so always getting that lock open, never slipped over it. It's perfect. Alignment when the knife is closed, it's perfect. It's right down the middle. I'm going to take it apart and show you the insides. Okay, I've never had this problem before on a CIVIVI knife. I've shown on CIVIVI knives before how the end here that's got the C logo, there is a little bit of a section cut out there, and there's supposed to be a dimple on the G10 that sits in, which keeps it from turning. This FRN doesn't seem to have that little dimple, and so it was spinning along. So on this side, I had to push really, really hard with my thumb on that C, and then, I unscrewed, actually, this was the driver. I unscrewed it, and the pin came out, the pivot pin, instead of the screw came out. So that's not a problem. Well, it sort of is a problem. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take this all the way apart, and I'm going to put Loctite on this side with this, so that this side is the side that stays together and this side is the side that comes out. So that's what I'm going to do. So since I've got you here anyways, all these screws here are T8 except for, let me see, I think the pocket clip ones, yeah, the pocket clips are T6, but the body screws are all T8, which I really like. So let me just finish taking this apart. Is it spinning freely along? Look at all that skeletonizing in there. Oops, there was the stop pin. Or no, that's the lanyard pin. I didn't talk about that lanyard pin yet. Take a look at that. The lanyard pin goes back here, which means that any lanyard you tie on comes straight out the back instead of out the sides. I really like that design. Everything is highly skeletonized, the liners, fully coated, really nice. We've got these ceramic ball bearings in the Foster bronze cage, which I really like an awful lot. So there's one area where FRN is not as durable as G10, and that caused the failure of it spinning out. Add to the fact that they used Loctite in here. If they wouldn't have used Loctite in here, it probably would have come out without damaging that. So CIVIVI, if you're watching, you're going to have to find a different system for your FRN handle scales, because this is not working. But everything else, I quite like. Well, so if I would not have taken this knife apart, I would have a very different opinion of the knife than I have now. I had a very high opinion of this knife, and now it's gone down a little bit. I had to use 2 screwdrivers, one on either side, to make the body screws tight again. Never had that problem on a CIVIVI before. And when I was tightening up the pivot pin, that C kept on wanting to spin. Because that little, sort of divot bump mechanism that they had there was not holding it. I had to push very, very hard with my thumb in there to stop it from spinning along, while I just had to be super patient and super precise to get this, tightened just the right amount. But it's tight. There's no blade play side to side, up and down, just like before. There was no blade play or anything. Action's just as smooth as ever, and everything's wonderful again. But I'm no longer quite as happy with this knife as I was before. Let's go over all the sizes, dimensions, all that kind of information on this knife. The weight of this knife, 82 grams, 2.9 ounces. I like that. I like that a lot. The sharpness from the factory, 85 best. That is very good. 200 or less is considered sharp, so this thing is very sharp from the factory. The cutting edge length, 76.1 millimeters, 2.996 inches. Blade length, tip to the closest spot on the FRN here, 82.4 millimeters, that's 3.244 inches. The thickness of the blade, so the blade stock thickness here, 2.93 millimeters, that's 0.1155 of an inch, so just under an eighth of an inch. The blade depth, this measurement, the widest spot or deepest spot, is right where the clip starts right here. That is 25.8 millimeters, 1.015 inches. The thickness of the edge behind the grind, 0.47 millimeters, 18.5 thousandths of an inch. I am very happy with that. And since it's a hollow grind, it's going to stay nice and thin for many sharpenings. It's one of the reasons I love a hollow blade. You can sharpen it way more times before it starts getting really thick behind the grind. The grind angles. There's a little bit of variability. if I've got it this way, at the heel, it started actually at 21.5, but just an eighth of an inch along 20.7 degrees, around 20 degrees here, about 18.1 degrees in the apex of the belly right there, and by the tip it was 18.6. So I'm going to say it's about 19 degrees along there. On this side, it started off at 19 degrees here, and then for a long section here, I got it right around 18.3, and then about 20.4 there, and by the tip it was 23.3. So actually not bad. Better than most knives that I review. If you've seen my video on why it's a fool's errand to try to match grind angles, you'll see what an average knife is, with the grind angles being all over the place. So CIVIVI did a pretty good job with sharpening this. They certainly made it very sharp. Let's talk about the dimensions on the handle now. The handle length, 108.1 millimeters, 4.256 inches. The grip area, it's approximately 9 centimeters, about 3.5 inches, so plenty of grip area. The thickness of the handle, 12.3 millimeters, that's 0.484 of an inch. The handle depth within the grip, the biggest spot's right about here, 23.5 millimeters, 0.925 of an inch. When the knife is closed, the widest spot, oh, I didn't test it over here, but I measured it here. The widest spot, 30.6 millimeters, 1.205 inches, and this dimension's on the screen. The total length of this knife from tip to the very end of the handle, 191.1 millimeters, 7.524 inches. That's very good proportions. The knife's got really good visual balance. The actual balance is right there, just a little bit behind the dividing point between what would be a bolster and then the handle scales. I prefer it to be here, so they could have skeletonized it even more for my liking, but since it's so very light, under 3 ounces already, I'm not complaining whatsoever. This is a nice, comfortable knife. The satin grind on here somehow is not leaving all my fingerprints all over the place. Usually I like stonewash better, but this one's quite nice. I didn't show you details before. Yeah, there is the pin right there for the lanyard. So yeah, you put your paracord through there. It doesn't bulk up out. Doesn't get in the way. Very nice, very well done. There's only 2 things I dislike about this knife. The one I learned during taking it apart. I don't like the way the pivot pin is held in place. The FRN is just not strong enough for that type of thing. So that needs to be changed. The only other thing is I'd like the tip of this pocket clip to be a little bit lower down, a little bit flatter. And that's something that I can easily fix myself. Just put it into a vise and push it down a little bit. Of course, using soft surfaces so you don't scratch off the finish. So I really like this knife still. It's no longer my favorite knife of 2021 so far. By the way, this is just early March 2021 that I'm recording this. So if you're watching this at some other date, it's not like I've reviewed a whole load of knives so far this year. The prices, I didn't talk about the prices yet. I got mine from White Mountain Knives. They happen to be sold out of the 9C or 18 MOV versions right now. The price on this one at White Mountain Knives is $39.95. You save 10% with coupon code CCE, and that would make it $35.95. That equals about $45.45 Canadian. So not a bad price at all for this knife. Since they're out of stock, you hit the Notify Me button on White Mountain Knives, and they will email you when they're in stock. I've got links down below also for Amazon. Oh, I forget what price they are at Amazon. That's on the screen. If you use my Amazon links, it's a great way to support the channel. If you use one of my links to open up Amazon, that really does help out my channel, even if you're not buying what's on that link. The Damascus with the carbon fiber one, that is $89.25. Save the 10%, $80.33. In Canada, bladescanada.com, which is Warriors and Wonders, they have it. Their price is $74.99. as opposed to 45, 45, 70, 75. Which would you rather pay, 45 or 75? $30 premium in Canada for this knife. Oh, does it cut well? Yes, it's a knife, right? Does it cut well? It cuts very well. You can do delicate work with the tip. It slices great. I love the hollow grind. And how well does it shut? It doesn't just drop shut, but it shuts very easily. Very little pressure is needed to shut it. It's not a drop shutty kind of blade. It's never been intended for that. And I don't really like drop shutty blades anyways, but very good, smooth action. Thanks for watching my video. Thank you for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And remember, friends, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb. Bye for now.